Okay, it's time for the one type assignment. This is supposed to be a fun assignment, a creative assignment, to try to force you out of the rigid newspaper world into something different. Yet, like most assignments that are creative, it includes a bunch of restrictions. In fact, most people would say they do their most creative work when they face a bunch of restrictions. What it comes down to is you're going to take a common phrase or quote or movie line or something, anything you like. I'm going to give you some examples, but you're just going to come up with your own, I think. Hopefully something that means something to you. I'd say not too many words. You'll see some of the examples I'll give you. A few words. And then I've also, in the zip folder that goes along with this, I've given you a bunch of royalty-free images you may use. But because we're not going to publish this, you may borrow any images from the internet that you like, as far as if you want to grab an image to go along with this. You don't have to have an image. You can just do it completely with type, though. But you'll see some of these examples. People have borrowed images. People have also made images within InDesign, graphic type images. But it can be all just type. And you're going to use type in lots of different ways to tell the story of the message you're trying to send. But it's all going to be done with one typeface. So you can take one typeface, or at least one type family. More about that in a minute. And you're going to change sizes, change layering of some type on top of another, change case, upper, lower, title, small caps, change style, bold, regular, Italian, so and so, italic. Change the scaling. You can stretch it. You can squeeze it. Change the color. You can add it. You can make reverses and screens. In other words, like make it light behind dark, or one thing or another. Light on top of dark, that is. Effects such as shadow or emboss. You could try an image inside type. You can try type on a path. More about those and how you do them in just a minute. So, or anything else you can think of. But it just has to be with that one type. Some design concepts to think about. You've had these many times before. Contrast and size and shape and style. Repetition, some things we repeat, like spacing and so on. Alignment is going to be an important one. Proximity, this is going to all hang together. This exercise, what you do with these letters and these words needs to all hang together as a single unit. So the restrictions are, you're going to pick one font, either Arial or Times New Roman. Those are your choices, okay? And use only that family in your type exploration. In other words, you just use one or the other of those. All words must be legible. You can do strange things to them, but we have to be able to read it still. Use a regular page template, or little inside pages again. To whatever degree possible, try to retain or enhance the meaning of your content. In other words, don't just throw effects around for no reason. You may use images, but concentrate on type. This is really about type. So what do I mean by picking up proverb or saying or something? Here are some I just threw out there as popular proverbs or sayings. But again, you could use a movie line, a book line, something from a TV show, or a song. I do want the attribution there somewhere, in some way, too, whether it's really worked into the image or not. Okay, so the next page of this is some instructions for some techniques you may use. We'll come back to that in a minute. But let me show you what some other students in past semesters have done with this exercise. I have a pile of them here. That's actually mine. I'm not going to do that. There we go. And I wanted to display these differently. How come they came up like this? Okay, well, we're going to go view, zoom, page, fit height. Okay, good. So this is extremely simple three-word kind of motto-like saying. And you can see how the letters, it's all the same font, but those letters have been changed and colorized and stretched and put together and layered. And I think it's a beautiful example of something you could do with this exercise, the kind of thought that went into that. And I think it's probably one of my favorite. I should have showed you this one last, I think. Laura Dufresne was an editor here in Student Publications some time ago, and then a born designer and graphics artist, really. So I like that she didn't have to use any of the images, but she turned the type into images. And what else? And I guess I'm going to have to zoom out on all of these. I should remember what the zoom fit height. Okay, maybe not quite as remarkable. It kind of doesn't hang together, but there's some really good work done here. And I do like the idea of putting an image inside the letters. That's actually like using the white space of a letter for the image. But again, it doesn't maybe hold together so well, but still it's interesting. So I'm happy to look at it. And Megan's did some drawing work in design, kind of into some art. And let me make it a little bit, this one I'll probably just make a little bit smaller. You can guess what it's going to say. It's done all in black, which was an interesting choice. Most of these you see people play with color, but you don't have to play with everything. She did shadow. I think that's interesting use of shadow there. It does sort of flow down, and it feels like it's one unit. Again, maybe doesn't hold together the best. I like that the attribution is down here, but I think it's really a lovely saying, and she did type on a path here, and she did use an image in place of a letter, and she did do letters in different words in different orientation too. So I think there's some good choices there. Clean shirt, clear conscious, enough coins. Okay, interesting one. Doesn't really hang together that much, but there's still some. I like the gradient. That's an unusual thing to do, a gradient behind type. And another one. Oh, I got too many of these, I guess. So lots of very image heavy here, but a nice use of images. I like the image on the type on a path around the image too. Brian, he did actually an album cover kind of job, and it is better to light one candle than curse the darkness. Very interestingly done, and it really doesn't feel like it's all one type family, but it really is. Look at it. It's just, I mean, with outline, we don't see a lot of people doing outline. Outline is a neat choice there. Jenna did. I like the giant size of that and the way it's been broken, kind of. And she did do some art here. You could grab some art too, obviously. And that's very nice. Holds together pretty well. That's glowing outline. Okay, and we could go on and on and on what some previous students have done. And I hope I'm going to like yours, and I'm sure I will like yours, and I hope I'll be able to show perhaps in a future semester. Okay, so that's where you're going with this. That's the challenge. I'm just going to show you a couple little things about that you could do as far as technically you could do to make this work better. And I lost my record button again. Hold on. Okay, so I'm on a page here that I worked on. I'm not going to do all this stuff for you, but I just want to show you the parts of a few things. Which of these to you says really big word? This one down here or this one here? It's all the type. It's all the same type. Things have just been stretched and made large and changed color and changed style and changed outline and so on and so forth. There's layering some type on top of other type. There's alignment that's been played with. So how would I make something this big? Well, remember, after you make something large or make something roughly the size you want, you can always hold down the control key and just yank it, and it'll stretch it. Hold down the control key and just grab a hold of the handle and yank it, or the other way. So you can also grab this control key and squish it. Now you're really messing with the type like this, but it's all very stretchable. Control key and pushed it together. So that's that one. Let me show you another one. How much type do you really need? How do we get an image inside a letter? Well, it's just a matter of layering. If you're using that negative space, then you simply have to put a photo into a roundish box, and then have it, and that's one of the photo boxes you can choose here. You can make an ellipse tool or a polygon tool box and put a photo in it, and then shape that box so it will fit behind the letter, and then it will just use that space. And if you have a screen, then you just have to decide what is the alignment. So you have to make sure that this is at the front, the letter, the image is next, and then the background is behind it all. I think screens of different kinds, in other words, shades of different kinds around letters, just bright colors and so on, distract from the letters. So I think these work very well in that way. Making a word, an emphasized word in a bright color, using embossing. These are all these kinds of effects that are on this group here. I'll just select the box. Is going to be all under Object Effects, and there's many choices. That was Drop Shadow and Bevel and Emboss. There's many other choices of effects you can look at here. So those are all the effects you can try. And if there's anything else that you really want to do, of course, if you don't know how, you can always just Google how to, in InDesign, how can I, whatever, and you'll probably get people who've tried it. I'm just going to show you a couple of techniques that may not be quite obvious. The type on a path would allow you to do like this kind of display, take an image and then have type run around it. And I think I had another example. Did I have another example? Oh yeah. So this idea of type going around around a letter, and then, oops, sorry, he's not on the page, is he? And then having something shine through the letter, the negative space in the letter, but then, and also, how would you, so this part, that something shining through, I already talked about that, but how would you actually put an image inside a letter, like make an image of a letter? Okay, well, let's do that. Type in a path idea, and then the image in a letter. But let's do it with a different letter. I'm going to make a, I'll make a question mark. Okay. Oops, that's not a question mark. Is it? Let me get closer. I'm too small. I'm going to make a question mark. Actually, my type is all screwed up here. So hold on just a second. Sorry, my keyboard wasn't working there for a second. Okay, so I've got a question mark, and I'm going to make it really, really big. So the biggest you can make things normally is 72, but we want it to be a lot bigger than that. And I'm going to, I don't know why my, it wants to be kind of like almost out of the box. That's really bizarre. It's my, I'm going to force this back into my paragraph style for a second. Huh, I guess it's just because of the size. It's interesting behavior. Let's make it 72. It's the leading. Size of 72, that's better. And I don't want it to be in that font. I'm going to change it to, I said everything should be in Times New Roman, right? New Century School Book would be practically the same thing. But Times New Roman, let's do Times New Roman bold. Why not? And now I'm just going to stretch the heck out of this thing. I'm going to close up the box around it, kind of. I want to make it truly enormous. And, oops, not, make sure the box is a little bigger than that. So it's not overset. There it is. I'll stick it right there for now. And I'm just going to start to, I'm going to grab the control key and just stretch it. And I'm going to stretch it really long. It's getting big. And stretch it. All right, let's say that I like that size right there. A giant question mark. Good. So now the point is, I want to put an image inside this type. In other words, as if the type is made of the image. So I've got the box selected with my regular selection tool. That's the key thing. The box is selection with the regular selection tool. Under the type menu, I'm going to say convert to outlines. Actually, in this case, it says create outlines. So what's happened is it's turned that type into an image. So it's an image. Now I could no longer edit it. I couldn't type in this anymore. Now I'm going to go get a oops, I'm going to go get out of my one-type resources. I have a flag here. American flag. This is the folder of stuff that I've given you. I've given you a bunch of oddball images, and you can look through them and see if they're any help at all. Actually, I've got a big flag. I'm going to use the big flag. I'm going to drag and drop it right on there, and now my flag is in there. In fact, if I want to rearrange the flag, I can use my regular selection tool and click on it. I can see that I can position the flag just where I want to. I could bring the percentages of the flag down too. Maybe I want to see more flag-like stuff. Those are hooked together. I can just start to go down a little bit, and now I could again click on it with the regular selection tool, and maybe I want it like that or something. So eventually I get it to where I want it to. And you can do that with any image, but you'd have to do it if you have more than one image, more than one letter, it becomes all one image if it's all in the box. So that flag or whatever you're using is going to have to go behind all of them. So sometimes you have to do like letter by letter if you wish to do this. Okay, so now I've done that, and now it's just an image with this text. That's good, and you can see it's linked. My link is showing up. I'm not sure why, but anyway. Okay, good. So what can you do next? I'm going to use and in this example, in the text you have, it talks about using the Obama thing, but I'll do something else here. I'm going to draw a shape with one of the shape tools or the pen tools. Now, if I was going to do a circle thing like this, I would actually go get my circle container here, that path here, change to an ellipse tool, draw the circle around the O, and then add the type around this. This is the path. It's easier to do the type on a drawn shape or with either drawn with one of these boxes or a drawn shape with a pencil than it is to do it on the actual image itself. So that's why I would do that. You can get that text going just right and then change the shape to fit what you want. Right, so let me see, but this is obviously not a circle. This is an irregular shape. So what am I going to do? Well, I think the best thing to do is to draw a path here. A couple ways I could do it. Let's see, I'm going to try this. Hold on just a second. I lost my record button again. So I got my recording back. So I'm going to use my pen tool, actually. I could use the pencil. I'll use the pen tool. And I'm going to make a path with the pen tool. I'm going to just do some little clicks and click and click and click. I'm trying to make roughly, I'm not worried about exactly touching. I don't want to really touch but maybe I should be closer. I could zoom in. Probably be better to zoom in and try to do more points, which would make a smoother path. I could draw with this, but I do not think that would work out very well. I think I get a lousy path. And then I'm going to make a little flourish over here, and so on. Now you see what's happening is I've got a background color selected. All right. Now if I click off with my regular selection tool and click on this, I could go over here and choose instead of that. I could apply none here. All right. Also, you'll see I have a rule. My path has a black rule, a stroke that is. I could of course change that. In fact, I'll leave that on for now because it'll be easier to see. And if you get it all confused, you can always take this path and move it. Take this path and move it away, out of the way of the letter, if it's easier to see. To work on some more. You could try to make it really smooth, but we're not going to see that line anyway. I just have it there for illustration purposes. Instead, I'm going to go grab the type tool, and I'm going to click on type. I'm going to go down to type on a path. Okay, so I actually have the type on a path tool. And when I come to the path, see what happens when I get close? I get a plus mark. I'm going to click on the plus mark. When I see the plus mark, I'm going to click, in other words, and I'm going to start to type. You can really do a lot with just one type space like this, for example. And if I was typing on a circle that I'd made using one of these tools, it would be the same thing. I made a partial path. Essentially, the path did not join. It's just a partial path. Now I could I could go in here. I could select all that text. I can make it bigger or smaller. You know, I could change the font to Arial or something. Whoa, where's my Arial? There it is. Like that. I can make it Arial. Maybe make it Arial bold. I could do any normal type stuff with it. You could learn more about typing a path. It's I forget how now. You can move the type around. Of course, I can put spaces in there and move it like that, but you can actually move it in other ways too. One thing I remember though is that when you have the path selected, if I wanted to, these are like overset boxes here. But do you want the type on the inside of the path and the outside? Right now it's on the outside, and by default it is. But it's hard to see. But if I hover over the edge of the path, right there, do you see I'm getting a little bit of a plus mark. So there's actually a little like bar there. And if I grab it, I can use it to flip the type to the, oops, I just did, flip the type to the inside. I can use it to flip the type to the inside of the path if I like. I don't really want to, I want it on the outside. But however I do it, I can go ahead and take the stroke down to 0. So we get rid of the stroke. Now that looks better, doesn't it? And I could do more typing or stuff like that. So that's how you do type on a path. And between those two techniques, you have some more options besides all the regular techniques. You don't even really need these, but just in case you wanted them, they're there for you.